Hello and welcome. My name is Susanne Løfgren. I'm Danish and English is not my mother tongue, but I hope that you can understand me. I know it's not perfect and my vocabulary is a bit simple, but I hope that you get the message anyway. I would like to tell you about the Bach Flower Remedies, which I know a lot about because I've been working with them professionally since 1996. I've known them since 1982, but I went to the UK to take the international education program, and thereby I also started to teach in Scandinavia the whole program from 1996. So I have quite a lot of experiences, and I like to share some of them with you. You can say that Bach Flower Remedies is for everyone. It's not dangerous in any way. We use them on babies, children, teenagers, adults, pets, and also plants. So you can work with anyone who wants your help if you learn the method, of course. There are 38 single remedies, and then a mixture called the crisis remedy, or the brand I work with is called Rescue. So it's made from flowers, from wild trees or bushes and plants, and also one remedy is made from grass. And the idea about the whole thing is that it's only made of this. The rest that's in the bottles are either brandy or glycerin, because you need to have something, some liquid where the flowers' energies can be swimming in, so to speak. So it works on the emotions, the thoughts. We pick them or choose them for emotions, but we also know that they will slowly start to change your thoughts when it's needed, because sometimes it's a thought that create an emotion, especially, for instance, if you think very poorly about yourself, you're blaming yourself, or you don't think you are as good as other people, that will create an emotion. Maybe you will be sad, maybe you will feel lonely because you separate yourself from others. So, but we mainly choose them from an emotion. The reaction or the result is often that you become more positive. Maybe you don't even notice in the start because it's a subtle change, but if you make a kind of status after 3 weeks, that's quite a good time to try them. You might see, especially if you have written down why you are taking which remedy, you will see that in some areas you already have started to change yourself. Very rare occasions it will take maybe 6 weeks before you see a change, and often if it's more deeply rooted things we want to work with, personal development, we'll have to work probably a couple of months. But again, you cannot in advance say how long a person shall work, because you just have to sense yourself, you have to feel yourself. Is it all right now? And then you can stop the treatment. That feeling that you have been treating might come back in another time, and then you just start with the remedies again. It's not dangerous in any way. There are no side effects, no toxic. It's just, as you can see in a minute, it's just made of flowers and water mainly. There might be a reaction. Sometimes, not always, absolutely not always, but sometimes people have a physical reaction. Let's say they have to go to the toilet more often. But again, you know, if you work with your fear, for instance, it often sits in your stomach. So when you start to heal that fear, you might get a more relaxed digestion system, and you have to go more often. So it's not dangerous, and it often will come within the first or the second day, and then it will go away. So no terrible reactions, just good things are happening, you can say. Natural things are happening. So let's see how they are made. When the company prepares the Bach Flower Remedies, they have to go out a very sunny day where the flowers are at their peak, and then they take a glass bowl with rock water or with spring water, and they cut down the flowers, so let them fall down to the bowl, and let that bowl stand on location, you can say, where they are picked. Let it stand there for 3 hours. When you work with nature, everything can go wrong, of course. It might rain after an hour, and then it's just too bad you cannot make the remedy. Or maybe it's a hard winter, and the frost has killed all the beautiful small buds, and you don't get a flower. So, of course, there are remedies in stock, so we don't suddenly are in lack of them. But this method, the sun method, can also be replaced by another method, which is a boiling method, mainly used on plants that are blossom very early where the sun is not strong enough. So that is they are boiled for half an hour, and then the same thing happens. You take a larger bottle and you take away the flowers, and you're just left with the energized water. You put that in a bottle, and then you put some brandy, half and half with brandy. That's a mother tincture. That mother tincture is brought to a factory where it's further diluted with either glycerin or black brandy. So there's just 2 drops of mother tincture in each stock bottle of 20 ml. So it's just a very small amount of alcohol. Even if you buy it with glycerin, still will be a little bit of alcohol in the mother tincture, but it's so little, so it actually doesn't count. So the stock bottles are filled in the factory, and these are the stock bottles that we can buy in the shops. Being a Bach practitioner myself, I have a whole set with the Bach flowers, and when I have a client, I don't send the client down to buy all the stock bottles. Let's say I have chosen 6 different remedies for that client. I mix them in a mixing bottle or a treatment bottle. You can see that on the right side. It's a dropper, a 30 ml, where you just mix. You pour in some spring water to the shoulders of the bottle. You can add some, if you want to avoid alcohol, you can add apple cider vinegar or glycerin, just 1-2 teaspoons. And then you add the remedies. You take 2 drops of each remedy into that treatment bottle. You're only advised to use maximums of 7 different remedies, because if you use more, it's like the result is not so effective anymore. So maximum 7 that is what we say. We cannot work with all our emotions at one time. We just have to choose what we want to work with in that period that we are making the treatment bottle for. Let's meet Dr. Bach. He was born long ago, as you can see, and he lived only 50 years. And by that time that he died, everything was complete. The whole system was complete. And he said it was complete, and it was never to be added more remedies, because it was a complete system. And time has shown that he was right. we haven't missed one single remedy at any time. It covers what we call the normal range of emotions. You can also say the normal range for neurotypical people. It doesn't cover remedies for psychosis, for instance. That is sort of, in a way, outside the batch set or box. But I wouldn't recommend you to try to work unless you are very experienced. So we stick to all the variety of emotions that we can experience during a life. That's quite a lot, really. So instead of letting ourselves be worn down by an emotion, we try to do something about it. As simple as if we are hungry, we eat something, because if we don't, we will feel bad. Our blood sugar will decrease. And the same if I'm irritated every day, that is an imbalance that will affect my vital energy, and also probably will affect my immune system and my whole body, because it's a stress, it's a conflict that I have. So knowing the remedies, I prefer not every day, but when I have one of those days, then I go to my bedset and just take a couple of remedies, often in a glass of water like this. Before I started this show, I took walnut because I wanted to be as much in myself as possible. I also took some rescue remedy to be more quiet, and I took some impatience, not to speak too fast, because that is one of that is a thing I do. So cheers. And that is just very helpful, because what's the alternative? Is that to let that feeling grow in you. And when you know that you can do something about it, it's also maybe easier. You will be easier to be together with for other people. So it's not that it's wrong to have emotions, but some emotions are not very nice. And so it's a good thing to know that you can actually get some help. Dr. Bach was a medical doctor. He worked in several hospitals before he started working at the Royal London Homeopathic Hospital. It's still existing today in London, still royal, and it's called, I think it's the Royal Hospital for Complementary Medicine. It has another name now, but still, it's amazing that living in the UK, if some of you live there, that you have a place where you can actually go to a hospital and receive complementary medicine. That's fantastic. Dr. Bach had good people around him. One of them were Nora Weeks. She was a radiographer, I don't know how you say it, but she did the X-ray in his clinic when he had a clinic in Harley Street in London. So when he stopped working at hospitals and later on in his own clinic, because he felt a need to go into nature and find another treatment system, she followed him. And that was very important, because when he died, he left it to her, and she was continuing his work at least 42 years, I think, after his death. She was working at what later became the Bach Centre in Oxfordshire. So he has left a lot of traces behind him, because we are actually a lot of people around the world who are working with his system, and there are training programs in many countries. So he didn't live in vain, you can say. His philosophy is quite exciting. I'm a nurse, and when I first read about the Bach Flower Remedies in 1982, that was really an epiphany for me, because I had never learned anything about alternative medicines or anything. I didn't know anything. But reading that book, it was like everything opened up in me, and I thought, this is right, even though I didn't understand everything. It was just, I felt it was right. I didn't understand it, but it's more a knowledge you have in your heart. That is really when your intuition talks to you and this is something I will work with. And the philosophy is just very short here, but you can read his book, Heal Thyself, or his small leaflet he wrote, Heal Thyself, where he writes a lot about what is the theory behind all this. So he says, almost all diseases arise because of a conflict between soul and personality. So what does that mean? It means that you probably don't, if you have a conflict that can lead to a disease, first you'll get some stress and emotional imbalances, and later it can manifest itself physically. But the conflict means that you don't live what your heart is telling you to live. You might be following other people's norms, and you might have a lot of thoughts about yourself that no, I can't do that, I cannot afford it, I'm not good enough, and so on. So you stop yourself, or other people try to stop you, and from really listening to your heart and listening to your own truth. So you can say, in a way, that all remedies are working to help you to be more true to yourself and listen more to your intuition. They inspire you to do so, and that's really an amazing thing. And I know it sounds too good to be true, but trust me, it's working. So he also said, treat the person, not the disease. That means we do not treat asthma, but we treat the person and that person's feeling, emotions, instead. And he also said this system was going to be the medicine of the future. I truly believe him. Maybe not only Bach Flower Remedies, but also healing. Everything that we could call energy medicine, I would think, is medicine of the future. So we are slowly starting to get into that future, and that's exciting to see where we are, let's say in 10 years, in 20 years. So you could say also that Dr. Bach was a first mover. It was back in 1929 that he started his search for the remedies. So that was long ago. And he was talking about things that part of science are talking about these days. There is a science called the psychoneuroimmunology. I don't know if I pronounce it right, but it means that the connection between your mind and your nervous system and your immune system. And might I add also, of course, your digestion system, your muscles, everything in the body. So we know that by research that there is a connection. So he was the first mover there. So also I want you to say hello to the Bach Center. It's placed in Oxfordshire. It's the house that Dr. Bach and Nora Weeks, they lived there, and he died there. And there's a little museum now on the first floor, a room that is dedicated for some of his remedies and his writings and things like that. You are absolutely welcome to visit. They are open all days except bank holidays, and they're also closed in the weekends. So you can just look them up and at the website, and I know you don't have to call and say you're coming unless you're a group. You're welcome. So go and see if you have time. Now we're going to talk about the remedies. The 38 remedies are placed in 7 groups, and you can see the names of the groups here. There's a group for fear, one for uncertainty, one for lack of interest in the present, all those who are not quite mindful, loneliness, oversensitive to the influence and ideas of others, that you are very sensitive to what other people think about you, despondency and despair, overcare for the welfare of others. I cannot tell you about all 38 remedies because we have a whole course for that, but I can tell you about 9 remedies today, and then I encourage you to read about them yourself if you're curious. I have chosen Mimulus because it's one of the top 10 remedies because it's for known fears. So who can say they're not afraid of anything? I think everyone has a little phobia somewhere, a little fear. Maybe we don't like spiders or mice, or maybe we are afraid to have breast cancer, or maybe we are worried about our financial situation and all that. We can put words on the fear, and that is when we then choose Mimulus. It's also for very shy people. It helps one to not be so shy, to be more social in a group, and maybe also to speak up and make a speech. And you can use it if you're going to make a speech or a presentation at your work. You can use Mimulus to help you not to be so frightened about it. So that is Mimulus. All remedies have a positive quality, and that is why they are helping. So instead of fear, it will be replaced with courage to face whatever you are afraid of, so that you easily overcome. Maybe you have to try for a period. If, let's say, you have a fear for going to the dentist, maybe you take a cure in 3 weeks before you're going to the dentist, and see if that fear is a little bit, it's not so bad anymore. And maybe you can also take rescue the very day that you're going to see the dentist. But it helps, and maybe 3 weeks isn't enough, but then you can just continue because you are going to the dentist again somewhere in the future. So just work with it until you can feel now it has left you. Red chestnut is also a remedy for fear, but it's for not that you are afraid of something is going to happen to yourself, but this is the remedy you use if you are very afraid that something will happen to your dear ones, your children, your dog, your husband, your wife, whatever. And if you're a therapist, some therapists are also very worried about their clients, and this is the remedy for letting go of that fear, red chestnut. Yes. We're moving on to another group. This is hornbeam. This is the remedy for that you feel that you are tired, but it's not real. Because if something exciting happens, you have the energy to go and meet your friends or whatever. But you feel that you're tired. Just the thought of everything that you have to do that day makes you feel very tired. So it's also a remedy for procrastination, that you keep making excuses. Oh, I'll fix that garage another day. And it's just heaping up. So it's a little kick in the behind. So get going, take some hornbeam and start the process and do your cleaning up or whatever you need to do, your tax papers or whatever. So that is hornbeam. Olive, and it's a flower, of course, for the olive. And this is when you're very tired and exhausted. And this is when you're really tired, you're both mental and physically tired. You might have been overworking for a long time. Maybe you have been looking after your sick parents or your children or whatever. This is not speed. So you will be disappointed if you think, oh, I take some olive and then I can go cleaning my windows. No, this will help you to relax. And I have heard from many people that they're actually saying they sleep better and they wake up more refreshed than they normally do. So I cannot say it's a sleeping pill, not at all. But it's a remedy that helps you to gain your strength again. But of course you need to sleep. That is very important. So olive. And then one also very popular remedy is white chestnut. The white chestnut is a remedy that we use for unwanted thoughts. I call it mental overload. You have been at work all day Maybe you have been to 3 meetings, or you were in school and you have just been listening or been at the computer for many hours. And when you feel you're very tired, and especially in your head, and when you finally get to the bed, your brain is still awake. So if it's that you want your brain to relax and let go of all these thoughts, you can use white chestnut. It helps you still the mind, the thoughts. Impatience is a remedy I know very well. It's a remedy for those who are very quick and effective, but also in return they get very impatient with others, because an impatient type is very quick and very fast, and that type will of course meet other people who are not so fast, and then they start to get irritated, and maybe they say something bad to them. Hey, hurry, must it take all day to make this and all that? So it's a very good remedy also for parents, because you can be very impatient about your children. It takes time before they learn to take on their own clothes and their shoes. So, and you can say it's a very important thing to do. So if you are patient, it's much easier for the child to actually learn to do things. It will help you in the long run, I can tell you, having 2 children, adult children now. So if you let them go through that learning process and are patient and not trying to stress them, everything will be much easier for you later on. Star of Bethlehem, that's really my favorite. Maybe it also was Dr. Batch's favorite, I don't know, but he said it was a very important remedy because it was the great healer. It's fantastic that we have a remedy that can actually start a healing process for everything that was very hard to go through, traumas, shocks you have had in your life. It starts a healing process so that it's easier to cope with whatever you have been experiencing in the past. It can also, of course, start the healing process on new shocks, and it is part of the crisis remedy, the rescue remedy, where it starts the process and the healing process immediately. So I often give it to people who are bereaved and they have lost dear ones. It's a period you cannot take that natural sorrow period from them. You have to go through it, but it's like it's easier. And for those who cannot cry, and that's very bad if you're in sorrow, if you cannot cry, it helps them to lose the tears, I say. So it helps you to go through a sorrow period in a natural way. The great healer. One feels the need to spread it all over the world, but it's not possible. So yes, large is the remedy for lack of self-confidence. It's where you actually think that you are so much more stupid than other people, and that it's embarrassing if you make a mistake, and then it's better not to try. So you have a bit of a fear for failure or fiasco, and you do not believe in yourself, in your own skills, and therefore often you will not throw yourself into anything new, because you will be uncertain about if you can do it or not, or you actually already have told yourself that you cannot do it. So to help build up your self-confidence, this is the remedy, both for children and adults, and dogs, for instance. I've used it a lot for dogs who needed to be more, have more courage, and to throw themselves into new tasks and things like that. So large for self-confidence. Pine is the remedy for guilt and blaming oneself. Some people blame themselves a lot, and it's very hard to sort of blame the little child in yourself. a part of you blame that all the time for having done something wrong, or maybe things that you haven't done. But it's very hard to be the one pointing at yourself. One thing is what other people are telling you that could be very hurting, but what you tell yourself is much worse. That is my experience. So this is for all the blame, all the guilt that maybe someone else put upon you. It could be that you had a very strict parent, or you went to a very strict school, and there might be some authorities telling you that you were not good enough and that you should be ashamed of yourself. Sometimes, I'm sorry, also religion, very strict religion, can do that. So if it's so that you have a lot of guilt and you're blaming yourself for things that you did, we all have done bad things in the future. We all made mistakes because we were not more clever than that. Maybe we did something 30 years ago, but if we still keeping blaming ourselves, it's very hard to live and be happy. So I call this, Dr. Bach wrote an article called Free Thyself. I call this remedy Free Thyself Remedy. I have personally used it a lot, and I feel so much lighter now that I'm not blaming myself all the time. It took a while before I really got rid of all. So just keep on until you feel that you're free. So that was the remedy I have chosen to tell you about. There are a lot of others, so please read about them. The dosage here and now, you can, like I did today, you take a glass of water up to half a liter, and then you can choose which remedy you want, maximum 7, and put 2 drops of each remedy in your glass. You just sip from the glass, and maybe you make a cocktail for a couple of days until the water is not very nice to drink anymore. It's like a big treatment bottle, you can say. So absolutely you can use it the next day as well. Just need a little sip. Normally we say that if you are taking remedies, you should take them at least 4 times a day. And you can take them more often. If you need them 10 times a day, it's not dangerous. They are not doing any harm. But if there are some days that are worse than others, just use them more frequently. But at least 4 times a day. And you don't have to think about they have to be taken outside a meal. You can take them with a meal. You can take them in your coffee. It's very easy to work with and very easy to work with. So you can also, as I started telling you, mix a treatment bottle. And again, you fill it up with spring water, and you choose a dropper because you need the dropper later on when you're taking the remedies. And then you can put in 1 to 2 teaspoonful of either apple cider vinegar, or you can maybe use nothing and then put it in the fridge, but it won't last for 3 weeks. That is my experience. But if you want it to last outside the fridge, I put in some brandy, but you can also choose apple cider vinegar or glycerin. It will often, with the 4 drops 4 times a day, it will last for about 3 weeks. Of course, if you take more often, it's maybe just lasts for 10 days, and that's all right. So that's a treatment bottle. You have to be sure that it's a clean bottle. You cannot use the same bottle if you take different remedies the next time. Then you absolutely have to boil it for 20 minutes, both the dropper and the bottle, and it cannot last that way. So I recycle the bottle, and then I take a new bottle and make a new treatment bottle for myself, or definitely if it's clients, you don't reuse the bottles. That was what I that I wanted to tell you about. If I may, I'll just make a small commercial thing here and telling you that are 2 of my books. I've written 7 books on the Bach Flower Remedies in Danish. 2 of them are translated into English. One is about women 40 plus and until death do us apart, so to speak. And it's not only about the Bach Flower Remedies, absolutely a lot about the Bach Flower Remedies in the book. Also, I have described the Bach types, which is not, Dr. Bach never got the chance to write about it. I think he didn't have the time. I have tried here in this book to do it, and it's also about a holistic view on the menopause, of the menopause. So also I use some of the other things that I teach is the basic meridian theory and other things. So also a Chinese view at the menopause, what you can do, what you should eat. I had nutritional therapists to write 10 pages about food for mature women, and she's absolutely very, very skilled, and she's also a pharmacist. So I think the book has become quite good. I also wrote one about Bach Flower Remedies for family, both teenager and small children and their parents. It's so, children mirror their parents' emotions. So of course, I encourage parents reading the book also to take remedies themselves. So I've given a lot of advices about how you can do it and suggestions, because there is not one recipe that fits all when it comes to the Bach flowers. In fact, there's about 216 million combination, 216 possibilities for combination, which is quite a lot. So you always have to look at the individual person and then find out what that person needs. You can go and have a look at the Bach Center's website, where you can see in which country the courses are running. At the moment, I am offering a level 1 online. And I also, if you want to see what I am doing, I also offer Basic Meridian Theory as an online course, not live, but as videos, MP4. So go to my website and see there's a whole English section, and see if there's something you can use. The last slide is just thank you for your time, and I send you all the best. Thank you for listening.